Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Hedin. I use the pronouns she, her. I'm a 20-year resident of Denmark Township. I have two children, one who's graduated from Hastings High School and one who shortly will graduate from Hastings High School. And I'm a 10-year member of the Hastings School District Board. Today's rally brings together a coalition of supporters to show transgender, non-binary, and LGBTQ plus kids that the Hastings community has their back. We're here today in response to the hate directed at the family of Kelsey Waits, our school board chair. She was bullied and harassed throughout her recent bid for re-election. These attacks went well beyond the typical criticism and scrutiny that elected officials can sometimes face. Kelsey's youngest child, Kit, who is a second grader, was outed as a transgender student by a local group of parents who had activated around the election. Attacking kids and families for political gain is never acceptable, and we reject the bigotry that fueled those actions. We will not be divided by attacks against anyone's family or anyone's kids, without exception, including trans, non-binary, and LGBTQ kids. We are here to show that Hastings embraces kindness, respect, and civil discourse. We stand with Kit, and we stand with trans kids. A few things before I introduce our first speaker. Our event is live streaming on YouTube on the Hastings Community TV website or page, YouTube page. We are asking that community leaders sign an unambiguous statement of support, and we invite all of you to sign your name to a community letter of support. The poster that you can sign, of those of you who came in underneath the historic Hastings arch, is taped to the sign on what would be my left. And also up there is a table where you can write a letter that will go directly to Kit for their support. So be sure to catch that on your way out. There's also QR codes at those same locations that will allow us to collect some emails should there be other events that we feel like you might be interested in the future in supporting Hastings students. So now, on to our speakers. I'll introduce each speaker and we'll ask them to reintroduce themselves and share their pronouns. Our first speaker today is Cheryl Green. She is the director of the Human Rights Campaign Foundation's Welcoming Schools program, providing resources and professional development for PK-12 educators to create LGBTQ plus inclusive classrooms. Help me welcome Cheryl.
Wow. I just want to pause for a minute and have you look around and all the people here. This is heartwarming and it's freezing. My name is Cheryl Green and I use she, her pronouns. And I direct the Human Rights Campaign Welcoming Schools program where we work all around the country with an emphasis on, how do we really reduce bullying, in particular for kids that are trans and non-binary. We continue to see trans and non-binary youth be the target of hate and vitriol. I know a thing or two about vitriol in politics, and none of this is okay, but certainly horrific when it involves outing or attacking a child. We're here today because we want to show support for the Waits family, Kelsey and Chris, and in particular Kit. And this is a great first step coming out today. You're all here. It's so important to show up. But what are you going to actually do when you leave here to ensure that this doesn't happen again in your community? How can you be an upstander someone that actively engages when bullying and harassment occurs, whether it's in a Facebook post, in the grocery store, with extended family, with your people that live by you. Being an upstander and being out here, that's contagious. We need to show up, we need to educate, we need to legislate, and we need to advocate to ensure that we set the stage for our trans and non-binary youth, not just to be safe, but to thrive. And I'm not a politician, so I'm not going to stand up here and talk. I'll let the other folks speak. But I want to make sure that I say that, Kit, we love you, we will stand with you, and you are absolutely perfect. Thank you.
Okay, live update. The power and the live stream are currently down, but it will not stay that way. And it'll be back up. And this event, the taped version of this event, will be on the Hastings Community TV YouTube page afterwards. And so you can watch it again. So just be in this moment and then be prepared to share it beyond this moment. That'd be terrific. Our next speaker this afternoon, is Mara Gloopka, the Director of Transforming Families Minnesota and Chair of the Human Rights Commission in Richfield.
Good afternoon, and thank you to everyone who worked to put this wonderful event together so quickly. Thank you also to everyone who showed up today. Show your love for our beautiful and perfect kids. My name is Mara Gloopka. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Director of Transforming Families Minnesota, a support organization whose mission is to create a better world for trans youth and their families, and we've been working on that for over a decade now. The heart of Transforming Families, or TFF, are our support meetings where transgender, gender-expansive, and questioning youth and their families and allies come together to support each other in a safe, welcoming space where we share our stories, victories, challenges, and resources. TFF community members are dedicated to building an inclusive and safe world. We help create safe schools through education and outreach. We show up at school board meetings. We testify at the state capitol, city halls, and other venues, and we connect with the medical and mental health communities. We're here today to stand in solidarity with the Waits family. To Chris and Kelsey, we affirm you for supporting Kit. It's not fair that loving your trans kid has become an act of heroism, but it is the world we are in. We love you and stand with you always. To Kit, we know that you are who you say you are. We know that you are a perfect you. We love you. We will work to protect and support you. We have your back always. And take note of all the people here to support you today. Here's why it's so important to show up for the Waits family and for trans kids. At about the same time that I learned of the CNN story, an obituary announcement from a mother of a 17-year-old appeared on my Facebook feed. This is what she wrote. My daughter, she wasn't a fighter. She was never going to be an activist. She simply wanted to be. She always said that as soon as she fully transitioned, she would tell no one. Her decline began when she started to understand that she would have to fight for every single step. Not just herself, but everyone that decided she chose her existence, and therefore it was debatable. Only 2 weeks ago, we held a vigil on Transgender Day of Remembrance. By that day, we had already broken last year's record for murders, which broke the year before's record, which broke the previous record. Make no mistake, supporting trans kids is about saving their lives. To those who go to shocking extremes to bully our children and harass our parents, their parents, know this. We deplore your harmful behavior. We reject your hateful rhetoric. We demand that you stop attacking innocent children and their parents. Your actions and words harm them. Transforming Families will be here for kids and families for as long as we're needed. For as long as it takes, we will always have your back, for your cause is our cause, and it is irrefutably right. Thank you.
All right, one more live streaming update. Indivisible St. Paul has a current live stream of our event up on their Facebook page. So if you want to share it with somebody who's at home and was unable to attend today, Indivisible St. Paul's Facebook page. Again, the taped version will be on Hastings Community TV YouTube in the future. Our next speaker is Reverend Michaellebune Jr. I'm going to say that again. Michaellebune Jr. It's like it's all one name. Is a Hastings minister and a hospital chaplain. Please welcome Reverend Lebune.
I'm honored to be here today. I'm Reverend Michaellebune Jr., ordained through the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. And I want to say that I fully recognize showing up here today and wearing this collar, wearing this stole, and wearing this title, Reverend, that I join a long lineage of a lot of good that's been done and a tremendous amount of harm that has been done as well. It is not lost on me that you cannot look into the history of Christianity without looking at a history of bigotry, white supremacy, and harm, and especially harm to the LGBTQ community, and especially harm to the trans community and trans people. I am not here to defend Christianity. I could not ever say words that would erase that harm. As an ordained minister, I do want to say I am wholly sorry for the hatred that has come from my tradition and from ministers of this tradition. I am here in defense of Kit. I am here in defense of all trans and non-binary people. I'm here to say that core and central to my beliefs as a Christian is the belief that every human being bears the image of God. I'm here to say that every person is sacred, that their identities are sacred, that their gender is sacred. And it is not for me or anyone else to decide what that is for any other person. Trans people testify to the nature of God that can only be found in each and every one of them. To Kit, your journey is sacred. Your life is sacred. You are sacred just exactly as you are, and keep telling us who you are so we can keep celebrating who you are. I also want to thank the other ministers who have come here today wearing their stoles and their collars. I want to say that while a lot of hatred has been done in the name of Christianity, that hatred does not own these sacred texts, these sacred rituals, and they don't own me. Thank you all for letting me be here. Thank you for being who you are on your sacred journeys. I stand with Kit. I stand with all trans and non-binary people, and we will never stop that. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Brian Davis. Brian is the treasurer of the Hastings School Board and the executive director of the Hastings YMCA.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I am not texting my friends up here. I am actually using a timer because I tend to get carried away. First and foremost, let me say again, I am Brian Davis. I am the new executive director of the Hastings YMCA, as well as the treasurer on the board for the last 2 years and the YMCA for the last 2 months. First and foremost, I want to let you know that the YMCA stands with the Waits family and all trans and non-binary children, adults, and the community at large. My original game plan here today was to bring a set of notes, and then I decided I'd rather speak from the heart, so if I trip over my words, please forgive me in advance. What has happened in our community is absolutely abhorrent. I am not afraid of saying that it is actually disgusting. I'm okay saying that. It's gross. And I am committing myself and my time on the school board, and especially my time as executive director of the Y, to make sure that we continue to advocate for your community. We advocate for our own community. Advocate for those who cannot speak for themselves or those who right now are not quite ready to speak for themselves. We will do it for you. Again, to my friends in that trans and that non-binary community, we do stand with you. If you ever need a safe haven, if you need a place to come to, the YMCA is right up the street. Our doors are always open to you, and you will be safe there. I promise you. For the Waits family, for Kit, my friends, we stand with you. You will always have a home with us. You can always come to us. You can always come to my family. You can come to the Y family as a whole. We are there for you. I am so encouraged and inspired by seeing everyone that is out here today. But please remember, it's so important. Silence is complicity. Neutrality is advocacy. If we say nothing and we do nothing, then the tormentors get to win. We have to continue to speak out. We are currently riding a quest. We are riding a wave right now. Don't let that die. Keep the energy going. They're hoping that we'll slow down, we'll go away. Oh, it'll die off, it'll die down. The news cycle always turns around. Don't let that happen. We will keep reminding, we will keep pushing, we will keep moving forward. But remember, the only way to stop these gross incidents from happening is to continue to push forward. It is a known fact that when bullies push and we push back, those bullies will shrink. Thank you.
Next, we will be joined at the podium by Lisa Liefeld, who is a Hastings City Council person. Councilmember Liefeld is joined in support by Council members Tina Fulch and Jen Fox.
Probably have to do that. Oh, and these. Good afternoon, everyone. As Lisa pointed out, I'm Lisa Liefeld, a lifelong member of the community of Hastings, the lovely community. I'm also a member of the LGBTQ+ community. I've raised 5 stepchildren and 2 children in this beautiful community, one who is a trans adult now. So I'd like to also, and my pronouns are she, her. I've got with me Tina Folch, also a lifetime resident of Hastings, pronouns of she, her. And then, of course, Jen Fox, lifetime member of Hastings, resident, and also pronouns of she, her. I'm getting that headache you get in the front of the head when you have to speak in front of people. So Tina, Jen, and myself as city council members want to express that the hateful actions taken against the Waits family are unacceptable. Hate has no place in our community. Today, we're here to speak of the impacts of transphobia, and we need to acknowledge that hate and bigotry are not new to Hastings. Transphobia is not only traumatizing to the victims that are being targeted by this hateful bullying, but it is also harmful to our existence as a community. Hate discourages young people from building their futures here in Hastings. Hate slows business growth when people boycott our community. Hate keeps new residents from choosing our community to settle down in. And right now, we are living in the effects of this hate. In the past decade, Hastings has not grown in population, and our school enrollment continues to decline and suffer. Hate takes a mental and emotional toll on each and every one of us. Hate pins neighbor against neighbor and causes a lack of trust and safety in our community. We recognize that Hastings has a great deal of work to make our community safe for all. Jen and Tina and myself as elected officials have been committed to advancing local policies and initiatives that increase equity, inclusiveness, and diversity. But we must all do our part by standing up together as we are today against transphobia and discrimination. We must all speak out against intolerance, and we must all defend the individuals and groups being targeted by this hate. We need to be active and participate in local initiatives like Thrive, IDEA, and city commissions. It is important to be engaged in campaigns and support candidates who support your values. Volunteer, give money, spread the word. One of the underlying values of our country is that we have the unalienable right to pursue happiness. We ask that you remain engaged in this basic human right and that we continue to stand together to defend the happiness of all transgender and LGBTQ+ members of our community. Please join us in promoting the unified message that all really are welcome here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Liefeld and supporters. Next, we will be joined by Kathy O'Keefe, who is a retired Hastings special education teacher, and she is currently the president of the Hastings Prescott Area Arts Council, a nonprofit started 12 years ago with the simple mission of promoting the arts in our communities.
This is big and this is beautiful, so I'm going off script. And now I'm looking at my notes as if I've never seen them before. My name is Kathy O'Keefe, and I use the pronouns she, her. As they said, I'm the current president of HPAC, our local art council, but I also represent all of the nonprofits that we have in our city, and we have a lot of them. I was a special ed teacher for many years, and so I worked with marginalized children my whole life. Oh, and it starts. 1 week ago, I was not a proud resident of Hastings. Our city was engaged in a school board race that got ugly, real ugly, national news ugly. And it hurt and it was confusing. And I'm a friend of Kelsey's and the Waits family. And it really hurt to see this family break. And I was forced to look at a lot of truths about our city that I hadn't looked at before, probably because of a position of privilege. I didn't like what I saw. But that's the end of that story. And this is the beginning of our new story. And our new story is a story of healing. And I thought, what do I want to say to my community at a time of such great pain? But what I have come to realize is how we are all on a journey. And this is another path on our journey. And for me, it's an uncharted path. I look ahead at those that are leading us, and they have their boots on tight, they've got their backpacks on, and they're leading the charge. And I'm back here, and I'm trying to catch up, but these new boots really hurt, and my backpack is empty. Heck, I just packed one thing. I learned the importance of pronouns and how to use them appropriately and respectfully. I have a lot of packing to do, but I think I've had a lot of people along the way helping me, and I think they see that I'm open to learning, and they have respectfully and lovingly corrected my many, many mistakes that I've made. And I think all of us here are open to learning. That's what's so beautiful here. I wish you guys could all have this view. It's amazing. We're all here because we want to learn more. We want to learn more about this marginalized group of people who, most importantly, are our neighbors. These are our neighbors. What I want to end with is that all of us are on this journey. We're all strapping on our boots and we're putting on our backpacks. Every resident in Hastings is on this journey. Some of them are way back there, though. They haven't even stepped on the path yet. They're afraid. They're afraid of what they don't understand. They're stuck. And as so many others who have helped me along this journey to pack my backpack, I too am going to help others on the journey. I will be open to those that are ready to learn, and I will do what I can to help people on their journey. But along with that commitment of helping others, it is crucial to say, I will not tolerate the hate and the bigotry that we have seen in our community. And I stand with my friend Kit, and I stand with all trans children. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Next, we're going to be joined by Erin May Quaid, who is the Advocacy Director at Gender Justice.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can I hear you? I can see you, but I want to hear you. I want to hear you for trans kids. I want to hear it for non-binary kids. I want to hear it for this community that has so much love in it that you turned out on a freezing cold day. Well, freezing to some people. We're Minnesotans, so it's fine. I'm Erin May Quaid. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Advocacy Director at Gender Justice. And where is Adrian? Adrian, there's Adrian, and where's Christy? There's Christy. Adrian and Christy. Christy is our senior staff attorney at Gender Justice, and Adrian is our finance director and administrative director. These two amazing humans help us do the work at Gender Justice where we seek to advance gender equity through the law. And we dismantle the barriers of gender that get in the way of people living full and thriving lives. That's everything from workplace protections to reproductive rights, health, and justice to trans inclusion everywhere. And this past March, we had a huge win in court. We sued the Anoka-Hennepin School District for discriminating against a trans kid, and we won. I say we like I was the lawyer, but I'm not. But now in Minnesota, it is not just an opinion, it's not just the right thing to do. In Minnesota, it is unconstitutional to discriminate against trans kids. But at Gender Justice, we know that the law alone is not enough. And so when Kelsey and Chris reached out to us to talk about what was happening in their community, we knew that we had to help. It wasn't like a lawsuit right away, but that's not all we do. We fight for trans kids everywhere. We know that the law is not enough. We have to change hearts and minds, and we have to change the narrative. And so connecting them with CNN, connecting them with organizations who could get their story out there was so important because we know the importance of just one story. I met Kelsey and Chris like 6 years ago in a brewery actually right up the street when their kids were little. And I remember talking to my wife Elise after meeting them being like, wow, those guys are really dope. Like, Chris serves the country, Kelsey wants to serve her community. Like, what an awesome family. And if anyone has seen the interview, the vulnerability and the love that they have created in their house is not just demonstrative of this community, but the kind of love that people should be having every single place in this country. They are incredible. And so part of Hearts and Minds Change for us at Gender Justice means that we show up in community, we show up at the legislature, we show up everywhere for trans and non-binary kids. Because here's what we know. This is not just about one kid, but it is about kids. This is about a coordinated legislative, legal, and messaging campaign that is meant to push queer and trans and non-binary people out of existence. And it is going on throughout this country. And that is why today is so important, because there has never been a moment in our history where hate has been able to win when we have power like this. This is our power. Showing up together is our power. We push back on that. And when we show up together, we bring the incredible kind of power that we need to defeat this kind of hate. Because I'm going to tell you, we are going to defeat it. We are going to defeat it. But it's so much easier to do with all of you. We're a really tiny organization. So when this happens in Hastings, we show up. But next legislative session, when they bring back more bills to discriminate against trans youth, we gotta show up. When they show up at school boards to fight against gender inclusion policies, we gotta show up. Every single place that this hate shows up, we gotta show up. Because our power is what's going to defeat this. Our power, together, is the beautiful kind of politics that can make us have material changes in our lives. Every single movement in this country that we learn about has never been about building a building or starting a new company. It's been about changing the way we treat each other. It has been about changing the way we interact with each other to make this world more inclusive. And never, not once, have I learned about a movement to make people excluded that has won and been a good thing. We never learn about those people in history like, oh, look at these winners. They're losers. We are the winners. We are the power. So thank you for showing up today to demonstrate the power and the love that is going to defeat this kind of hate. Thank you to the Waits family, and especially thank you and love to Kid. Thank you, Hastings. It's been great to be with you.
Next, we're going to hear from Marta, who is a Hastings parent and the founder of IDEA, Hastings Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Alliance.
Hi. Hi, my name is Marta. My pronouns are she and her. I've been in Hastings for about...
I know, it's ridiculously close.
I know. I've been in Hastings for about 15 years, and I have 5 children, one of which I recently came to live with us because of the rejection and the neglect they face from their birth mother. That child is trans, and when they came out to their mother,
I know, I'm sorry. Just don't flinch. Stop moving away. Lean in. Lean in.
So when that trans child came out to their mother, she ended up laughing at them. She called them sick, says it wasn't true, said that I must have been forcing that on them. After that phone call, my child came out in tears. I sat there consoling them, holding back my anger, telling them there's nothing wrong with them and that they are loved. Later that day, their birth mother ended up calling the police on me because of child abuse. She claimed me accepting that their child was abusive. At school, my child has been called many names, told they don't belong, that they are insane, that they're crazy and they need to be fixed. I hear all these stories of other kids and even the adults. These grown adults are telling my child that they can't be accepted by any other gender than the one that they are born with, that it's just a phase and they'll grow out of it, but if they don't, they won't belong. They're told that if they don't change back, that there's something wrong with that. And that breaks my heart. I hold back tears as I listen to them tell me what they go through. The amount of strength that they're forced to have just to be themselves. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here for my child. I'm here for Kit. And I'm here for every other child that struggles with these problems and the families that cry in rooms out of sight because they feel so hopeless. The story about Kit on CNN brought up a lot of emotions. Shock, fear, anger, but it also brought me hope. See, I have hope that the citizens of Hastings and every other small town across the country hears our trans kids, sees their pain, and finally says, no more. I hope that we stand together against those that cause our children so much pain and shame. I also hope that those who carry all that hate see their condemnable actions and decide to change. Most of all today, I hope that the trans children hear our message. You belong, and we love you.
We'll get a few more hands on our technical team here. Senator Carla Bingham is unable to attend today, but she did release a statement that she would like to have read. What happened to the Waits family is unacceptable, disappointing, and hurtful. It has exposed a dark side of our community that we must shine a bright light on to ensure that this never happens again to any child. As a community, we owe it to Kit, the Waits family, and our state to do better. We need to continue to work to speak out on injustice and work together to implement change so that everyone feels welcome in every community. To our transgender, non-binary, and LGBTQ+ children, we see you, we hear you, we love you, and we support you. Kelsey and her family are simply amazing. I'm so proud to call them friends. She will not back down from bringing the necessary changes to support trans kids. And as a community, we come together today to support them and join them in the fight for inclusion. Thank you, Kelsey and family, for your leadership, advocacy, and friendship. And again, that statement was issued on behalf of Senator Carla Bingham. Next, we're going to be joined by another senator, Erin Murphy, who represents the Minnesota Senate District 64.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. That's right. The Erins are connected. We're all connected together. I'm Erin Murphy.
I'm a registered nurse. I serve in the Minnesota Senate. I use she, her pronouns. I want to make sure that I am acknowledging some of my colleagues that are here, and if I've missed you, forgive me. I am here today with Senator Mary Kunesh, Representative Michael Howard, Representative Cheryl Joachim, Representative Kayla Berg, all from the Minnesota legislature here standing together. All of us together. Kelsey and I have known each other since 2016, where we met along the way in our pursuits together for a better future for the people of Minnesota. And Kelsey and Chris, I am proud to be with you today, and I wish we weren't here together today for this reason, but I am here with you. You have shown enormous strength and courage and love and fight, not just for your family, for your community, for Minnesota, and for the people who live all across the planet. And I am grateful for all of those things, and you know that I am continuing in this fight with you and with all of you for as long as we need to fight. It's important, and I hope that right now you will show with me some love for Kelsey and for Chris. And you're going to hear this theme from me today. I am maybe the purveyor of love. And it's maybe strange to talk about politics and love together, but it's time that we do. So let's show some love to Kelsey and to Chris and their family. So many speakers have already said what happened in Hastings should never have happened. We should never use politics as a tool to hurt a child. It crosses a line that most of us agree to. It is a form of bullying that should never happen in our communities, and it shouldn't happen in politics, and too often it does, and too often we accept it as this is just the way things are done. And we are here together to say, that is not how we conduct ourselves in communities. That's not how we conduct ourselves together in Minnesota. That's not how we conduct ourselves in our politics. And I can imagine each of you, many of you thinking, well, if that's the way people are going to participate in politics in Minnesota and in America, I'm not going to have anything to do with it. And I want to tell you the opposite has to be the case. The opposite has to be the case. Whether you feel it or not, the tools of our democracy in this country are a gift, a blessing, and they are ours, and they are powerful, and we use them together to set the course for our future. And we are contending over something as fundamental as who is accepted in this country. We're contending over something, contesting over our very existence in this country. There's nothing more fundamental or central to our politics in our democracy than who belongs and who doesn't belong. And that is the contest before us. And I believe, and I'm not a founding father of this country, but I believe when they wrote that document, they were writing that document for all of us, that we are all belonging, that we're all free, that we are all able to thrive and benefit from the liberty and the prosperity of this country. And we're fighting about that right now, whether you see it or not. It is never okay to use bullying and politics to hurt people. But it's also not okay to use disinformation that spreads a virus across the country and kills people. And yet some people are choosing to do that with politics. It is never okay and should have never been okay to call an election when the president didn't like the outcome a lie and foment an insurrection at the United States Capitol. That is a lie, and we can't tolerate that anymore. Too many people have turned away from political action because they think it's icky or dirty or ugly. And I have learned and seen over and over again that politics is powerful and it is filled with love. It can be filled with love and with joy and with hope. And when we practice that politics together, we do more for one another, and that's how we build our future. So I do want to ask you one thing today. in addition to showing Kelsey and Chris and this community love, understanding, and forgiveness, I want you to remember that we are powerful together. And the only way we build a future in which we're all included, in which we all thrive, in which we all belong, is if we stand up for each other and stand up together for what we believe in. You're doing that here today. You got to keep doing it. In communities across the state, we have to keep doing it. Because if we don't, the people who want to exclude are going to prevail. And that, my friends, is no good for us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing the love, for standing up for everybody, because that's what you're doing. I believe in you. I believe in us. I'll see you soon.
Next, we will be joined by Lee Finke. She is an activist, filmmaker, and author from St. Paul. She's a multimedia storyteller for the ACLU of Minnesota and the owner of Totally Gay Productions. Help me welcome Lee.
Hello. My name is Lee Finke. Excuse me, I'm nervous. I'm a producer and author and activist. I'm a parent to 2 beautiful children, and I am a trans woman. It's this last part that brings me to Hastings today. I would like to start by addressing the adults of Hastings. By now you know that Hastings is extremely divided. You know that some residents of Hastings are willing to weaponize transphobia, are willing to put trans people, including trans children, in danger. If you haven't yet realized this, now you know. Hastings has a problem with hate. We are in Hastings today because of what has happened to one of your school board members. Kelsey was attacked in one of the most deeply personal ways imaginable. She was attacked because of who her child is. Kit's trans identity was turned against their mother. This is a despicable, vile act. It must be condemned, as many have done today. Kelsey and Kit are the reason we are in Hastings, but I could give this speech anywhere in America, and it would be equally necessary. Trans kids deserve love, safety, respect, and dignity. Everywhere, all of the time, full stop. We don't have the time to run the data on bullying and rejection and the harm that is done to my community that so often leads children to suicide. But I suspect you know this. I suspect you know that this is a country that is failing trans kids. Not everyone. Hastings, like most towns, has many people who care for trans kids. Kelsey can tell you all about those Hastings residents who have supported her and her family through this difficult time and before. Some of you are probably thinking, this is really depressing. Who invited this trans lady to come and lecture us about all the ways that we have failed? The answer is, you did. When the grown-ups who are supposed to be in charge started acting like bullies, you invited me here. When adults in this community put the target on trans kids, you made this day inevitable. Please don't let it happen again, Hastings. You need to start protecting your kids, especially your trans kids. Now, to the LGBTQ young people here, especially the transgender, non-binary, and genderqueer young people who are here or watching. Take a look around. This is what happens when trans kids are attacked. We show up. We show up, and it's not going to stop. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel alone. But when that happens, think back to this moment and remember, so many people are here for you. So many people are waiting to meet you. Finally, I want to let all the queer young people in on a secret. Being trans, being a part of this community that you and I belong to, queer, trans, non-binary, LGBTQ, being in this community is the best. There are many people who don't want you to learn this, so I'm just telling you, being trans is the best. We get to create ourselves. We get to create ourselves outside of any system that wants to dictate who we are. It is freedom unlike any other, and you have access to it. You are endlessly valuable, unique and creative, weird and wonderful. You will find out everything about who you are, and it will be the best. Anyone who tells you differently than this, whether it is a teacher or a pastor or even your parents, is wrong. So congratulations to all of the trans, non-binary, queer kids in the whole world. You are part of this amazing, beautiful, resilient, and wonderful family. Thank you.
And our final speaker for today will be Kelsey Waits. She is the Hastings School Board Chair, and more importantly, one of Kit's parents.
Thank you. So normally I like to come to these things with, like a speech prepared and lots of fancy words and practice. And honestly, it's been such an emotional roller coaster. I didn't know if I'd get up here and be able to say any words, or if I'd just cry. I just, looking out here, this is amazing, and thank you. And so just before I really say anything, there's been a mention of me and a mention of Chris and a mention of Kit, and I just want to do a special shout out to the best big sister and best ally that Kit could have ever asked for, and that's Abby.
We love you, Abby.
Making the decision to go public with our story, especially in such a national way, was not easy. I can't tell you the hours I spent crying over whether or not we would do this or not, knowing that it would only draw more attention and potentially more danger to my family. But as a family, we talked, and this is about so much more than me and Chris and Abby and Kit. And while the CNN story is our story, it's also all of our stories. This is about the daily hate that we experience, the fear that we experience, to be ourselves, to fight for what's right. This is about putting a spotlight on the hate and saying, we are all done. And the article said we are moving, and that is true. But that does not mean that the bullies win. Because let me be clear, I am not done with this fight. Since Kit came out, I have devoted everything in me to be working to make a better life for our trans and non-binary and LGBTQ kids. I have my master's degree in policies to protect these kids. This is what I study. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I'm working to make better everywhere. And that work will continue every single day. And when we go home, we'll know we're safe at home, so that the next day I can get out and do this again and keep up this fight, because these bullies will not win. Just thank you. The last few months we have been filled with so much fear. And there's been so much hate thrown our way, and seeing this is just amazing. Someone told me last night that this may be the largest gathering supporting trans people Minnesota has ever had. And it's happening in Hastings, Minnesota. So I can't tell you that there's no hate and there's no bigotry here, but what I can tell you is to just look around and see how many people are fighting to make this better. And we will make it better, and we will make it safe. And to all of our trans kids, especially my trans kid, just know how much I love you, and I will always work to make the world a better place for you. Thank you so much.
Please stay in touch with us. Let's keep this positive energy going. Scan the QR codes on your way out. They're located on posters or on the Facebook page. That'll make sure you hear about other events that you'll be able to participate in. Remember to sign the statements of support, the poster, or send a letter to Kit. And we want to acknowledge the amazing coalition of community members and organizations that came together to create this event over the last few days. Thank you to all of our sponsors: Hastings Happenings, ACLU Minnesota, IDEA, which is Hastings Inclusion, Diversity and Equity Alliance, Reclaim, Afton Indivisible, St. Croix Valley Indivisible, St. Paul Indivisible, Hastings Prescott Area Arts Council, Minnesota Indivisible Alliance, Transforming Families Minnesota, Outfront Minnesota, Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, CD2 Action, and Gender Justice. This event shows the story of the unstoppable force of this community coming together to fight bigotry and hatred, and to stand with Kit and with all trans kids. Thank you so very much for coming.